Welcome back to Christian Kids Content Unpacked. Today, we are analysing a message that equates verbal self-control with a religious guarding of the heart. We will examine how the speaker uses divine surveillance to move a child's motivation for kindness from empathy to institutional fear.
Hey, got a question. Does anybody ever say anything to hurt your feelings? How about you out there? Anybody ever say anything to hurt your feelings? A lot of people? It's a tough life, isn't it? Well, let me tell you what happened to me. Do you notice anything different about me? Just look real quick. Different shirt? Nope. Look at this area. Part of the beat, right? The goatee part's gone. Right. At least you noticed, right? So I shaved it off. My wife didn't notice. Right? So I had to kind of point it out. So it's at the end of the day, I finally said, I didn't even notice, Guys, we have had that happen to us, right? With the hairdos, we don't pick up on it right away, and then we get a 2-year prison sentence, you know what I'm talking about? That's what happened reverse, because this is what happened. So I'm looking at her, she's standing there, and I said, you notice anything different? She says, I said, and she says, I was wondering. She says, I thought you lost weight, you were sick, I didn't know what was wrong. I just knew you were sick or something. And I was like, thanks. And I was like, would that work the other way? You come in the door, oh, you look terrible, you look sick. Yeah. Being divorced for it, you know what I mean? But sometimes we say things, right? During this time of year, we're in Lent, and we're supposed to be a little bit praying more, fasting more with things, being helping others more, that's almsgiving, doing things like that. Being really aware of things, being intentional not to say certain things, right? So if you're about to say something, then you just stop it, because that wasn't please God during this time, right?
The speaker frames the choice to hold one's tongue as an act of pleasing God during Lent. This is divine surveillance, where the child is taught that an invisible authority is constantly monitoring their internal and external speech. Common sense teaches that we should be kind to others because it respects their humanity, not because an invisible observer is judging our intentionality. This relies on moral externalization. By shifting the focus to pleasing God, the speaker removes the natural empathetic link between the child and the person they might hurt with their words. From the perspective of child development, learning to regulate speech is an exercise in social intelligence. This message instead promotes theological monitoring, making the child's own mind feel like a scrutinized space where a deity is the primary audience. This is a problem because it replaces genuine empathy with a performance for an invisible authority, potentially causing a child to feel a constant sense of being watched and judged. Ask yourself, is the child being taught to care about people or to care about the deity's reaction?
So in Psalm 64:3, it tells us that our words cut like a sword sometimes, and they sting like sharp arrows. That sounds painful, doesn't it? Right? What if I said, hey, I'm going to cut you with a sword? What would you say?
The speaker uses the metaphor of a sword to describe the impact of words. This is fear-based compliance, using extreme violent imagery to pressure a child into silence or submission. Common sense teaches that while words can hurt, comparing a child's dumb thought to a physical sword attack is a massive overstatement that can create unnecessary anxiety. This utilizes hyperbolic threatening. By equating verbal mistakes with physical violence, the speaker creates a disproportionate guilt loop, where a child may feel like a killer for a simple social faux pas. While linguistic ethics emphasizes the power of speech, this sermon enforces somatic fear. It suggests that the child's tongue is a dangerous weapon that must be guarded like a lethal threat. This is a problem because it frames a child's natural learning process in communication as something inherently violent and dangerous. Ask yourself, Does this help a child communicate better, or does it make them afraid of their own voice?
No, thank you, right? Because that'd be painful. Or here, just let me give you steroids. That would hurt. It would kill you, more likely. At least it does in old Western movies. But today, our words do the same thing. Just saying something. Mom says something, you say something back that you shouldn't be saying anything back, and you just do, because sometimes we're just like a dumb thought. I'm going to show you. Your brother or sister, they say something, you say something back. Maybe it's a friend at school, they're on a merry-go-round, they say something, you say something back, and sometimes it just hurts. Sometimes there are people who struggle with things in life, and you notice that, and you should be praying for them, not making fun of them. Do we make fun of people sometimes? Maybe people make fun of you sometimes? We got to be very careful of that. This is how we guard our hearts from that. We always think, is this something we can say to God? If he was standing there, would we say this?
The speaker explicitly asks the children to imagine God is standing there before they speak. This is the Panopticon Effect, a psychological state where the feeling of being watched leads to self-policing and the erosion of private thought. Common sense teaches that children need a private self where they can process anger and frustration without feeling like they are committing a spiritual crime. This relies on internalized authority. By telling the child that God is standing there, the speaker installs a permanent guard in the child's mind, replacing their budding autonomy with institutional standards. In psychological health, the ability to differentiate between private thoughts and public speech is vital. This message instead promotes cognitive transparency, where the child feels they have no private sanctuary from the deity's gaze. This is a problem because it prevents the development of a healthy, independent internal world and creates a sense of constant spiritual vulnerability. Ask yourself, if a child can't even think a crossword in private, where is their freedom of mind?
The answer would most of the time be no. We wouldn't agree with that. So during this time, it's almost Easter. I want you guys to work really hard this next couple of weeks to stretch your faith a little bit. Make sure you guard your tongue. Guard your heart with saying the right things in each other, okay? Let's put it to the church. We'll talk a little more about that. Father, I thank you for these students. I thank you for their hearts towards the things of God. We are blessed to be a church that has children. I pray our parents guard their hearts and minds and their tongues to be the example. Grandparents as well. And us as staff and teachers and workers throughout the church, just to lift these students up, guide them, direct them, so that as they go through their week, go through their day, that they be the children you call them to be, God. That they follow your instructions, your word, to speak the right things of them.
The final prayer asks for the children to follow instructions and speak the right things. This is agency suppression, framing the child's communication as a pre-written script they must follow to be good. Common sense teaches that a child's voice should be authentic and reflect their true feelings, even when those feelings are difficult or messy. This utilizes prescriptive identity. The prayer defines the children as the children you call them to be, suggesting their natural, unscripted personality is inadequate or incorrect. From a secular perspective, this is a form of linguistic control. It attempts to program the child's social interactions to serve as a testimony for the church rather than an expression of their own personhood. This is a problem because it conditions the child to prioritize institutional correctness over their own emotional honesty and relational growth. Ask yourself, is this prayer helping the child find their voice, or is it teaching them how to mask it?
To give them courage, to give them strength, and to pray for them through their day. God, we just give you the praise and glory for all things in your name. Amen. Okay, guys. Yeah.
The Watching What You Say message uses divine surveillance to monitor a child's internal thoughts and external speech. By using fear-based compliance and the Panopticon Effect, the speaker frames a child's natural voice as a dangerous sword that must be suppressed. Finally, the focus on agency suppression ensures that the child views their own communication as a performance for an invisible authority. This lesson trains children to distrust their own internal world and to view their private thoughts as a religious violation. If you're unpacking the psychological surveillance in children's sermons, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.